stage presence, that charisma, that confidence. This is how you get it. Hey everyone, what's up? Welcome to the Burlesque Playbook, where I walk and talk you through everything you need to know about trying out burlesque, getting started in burlesque, or maybe even making it to a stage. I'm going to tell you guys the number one secret, in my opinion, that every burlesque performer needs to know that nobody talks about. Is not about having the fanciest costume, being a certain age, having a certain kind of body type. It's not even about being so technically proficient with your bumps and grinds that you could just shimmy in the shimmy Olympics and place gold every single time. Do you know what burlesque is really about? And this is the secret that I was saying that I feel like we don't talk about enough. Burlesque is about creating moments and connecting to the audience, period. And I feel like when we're just learning burlesque, just getting started in our classes, at least this was true for me, I wasn't focused on that. I was like, how do I learn how to bump? How do I grind the best grind I can grind? How do I make a full act? How do I know I'm picking the right costumes? But I wasn't integrating this idea of how do I create moments between me and the audience to make them have experience they will never, ever forget. Okay, so that's what we're talking about today. So number one thing. Okay, so of course, these moments that we're creating will be supported by our music and our costume, and those things are not for nothing. But what I want to talk about today is more of the head game stuff, more of the psychological warfare that we do when we are performing burlesque for an audience. Without further ado, I'm just going to quickly go over 1, 2, 3 different ways or tools or methods we can use to apply this to our next show. Okay, so if we want to create a moment with the audience, the first thing we need to do is be in control. You don't have to, like I said, be technically proficient or do a bunch of tricks or twirl tassels for 18 hours to really be in control. You need to control the room. And the way you control the room is with your timing and your pacing. So if you want people to really remember you, we need to slow down and insert moments of stillness. The audience needs to process us. In order for us to have a moment, we need to process the moment. Hold and move longer than you think, or maybe juxtapose a big ratty drum solo by some ooey gooey slow glove peel. All of these juxtapositions and choices you make can surprise the audience, give them something maybe they're not expecting, and also make them feel like they're in good hands. Okay, so when I walk on stage, I'm not saying this out loud because I'm a nonverbal performer, but the idea and the attitude is like, don't worry, y'all. Ginger's here. I'm in control. You don't have to do anything, but just sit there and I'll take care of the rest. Okay. Audiences really like to feel like you got them. All right. So one way to create a moment is to let the audience process you and for you to just give them time to look at you. Let the audience look at you. Okay. And if that makes you feel nervous and you're like, oh my gosh, I feel, some kind of way about that, I understand. But here's a perspective shift that I tell all of my students in all of my classes. It is not about performing for the audience and hoping they like it. We already like what we're about to perform. Okay, we already like it. We think it's good. We are just going to let the audience watch. And it's that frame and that shift of like, oh my gosh, do you like what I'm doing? I hope you like my act, to here's my act. I'm going to show you and you can just observe. Okay, it's a much more embodied, empowering way to create moments with the audience. Shift your perspective and change your timing a little bit. Don't just be blowing and going the whole 3 to 5 minutes, because the audience needs to take time to understand what just happened on the stage. They need time to fall in love with you, which they will fall in love with you. Another great way to create moments with the audience, and this one won't work for everyone. None of the stuff I say in this series is going to work for everyone, but I will try my best to think about a lot of different scenarios. You can create magical moments with the audience using rhythm and seductive moves. Seductive moves does not mean catering to the male gaze, does not mean looking some kind of way or having any kind of anything. Seductive moves is a vibe, is an attitude, is a state of mind. We think a lot of times when we're doing a burlesque act, like it's going to be filled with seductive moves, right? And that might be true for you, but it's not just that we're putting these like moments of sensuality and seduction. It's about how we make the audience anticipate, and how we create tension in the audience, and how we release it. Okay, so when you're thinking about doing your grinds and your caresses and doing all this super juicy stuff, consider your timing and consider your connection. It's not that we're just going to do these moves like, oh, here, I'm going to stroke my leg. This is in my burlesque act. It's that we're actually going to be like little method actors, and we're going to stroke our leg and have a response because it feels good. You know what I mean? Not everyone does sexy traditional femme style burlesque, but you can use a seductive move, a moment of sensuality, softness, eroticism in virtually any burlesque act, even if you're doing some other kind of character, because it can work as a punchline, as a gag, as a juxtaposition, anytime. Okay, so even if you are not a traditional classic burlesque performer, I hope that you will stick around through this series, because in my opinion, I think that you can apply a lot of these tactics to any style of burlesque. So the way that you interpret your music, the way that you create sensual moments, the way that you connect to those sensual moments by actually being in your body and feeling the connection of touch and expression, all of this will help you create those moments of true connection with the audience. And you do not need to be a veteran or an expert to put these tactics into play right now. I hope somewhere, and if this is you, let me know, just because I'm like nosy. I hope somewhere there is somebody that is watching this video and you haven't performed yet, but you're about to. Maybe you're taking a class, or maybe your burlesque friends are finally like, just do it, you can do it. We'll put you in a show. You're watching this, and you do not have to execute these things perfectly for your first time. I've been doing burlesque for almost 20 years, and I don't execute these things perfectly anytime, okay? It's just like a constant practice that I'm doing. But I hope that you will pick one or two moments in your act where you're just like, yeah, I'm gonna do what GV said. I'm gonna connect with the audience by creating moments. This is not stepping away from the art of burlesque. It's inherently part of the art of burlesque, but the reason why I frame this lesson as the number one thing that we don't talk about is because I feel like we're always worried about the perfect song, the right moves, the right costume, will I be able to do floor work? And what we should really focus on, how many moments are we really connecting to the audience? Okay, so we talked about timing and tempo and how we can let them process and look at us. We talked about using seductive moves and not just going through the motions, but actually connecting to them within our body, using our breath, feeling the feelings, letting the audience look at us. The final one that I'm going to talk about today, I mean, there's so many ways to accomplish this, but I'm just going to keep it to 3. Eye contact. But wait, don't go anywhere, because whenever I talk about eye contact, people are like, I can't make eye contact. It's really hard for me, or maybe I can't see the audience. Y'all, me neither. But when I say eye contact, I do not mean that you actually have to look into their eyes. But what you can do is give the illusion. And on this channel, you will hear me talk about this so many times. Okay, so if you don't take it in now, maybe you'll take it in next month. You can look right over the top of people's heads. You can look at their nose. You can look at their eyebrows. You can look right past them. They will not know the difference. A lot of times when we are on stage, like I said, you can't even see the people, but you can give them the feeling that you're staring into their soul. And finally, what goes along with this topic, I think, for the sake of this lesson, is it's not even about eye contact, but using your focus and your eyes intentionally. We're not just like, I'm doing burlesque, I'm kind of looking here, I'm looking here. No, we're doing burlesque. I'm looking here. I'm doing my burlesque here. I'm looking there. I'm doing burlesque for y'all. You know what I mean? Choreograph your looks, choreograph your eyes. Not if it makes you feel overwhelmed or if it's like one more thing to remember, but have a moment where you are either, I don't know, back to the audience, you're looking and you scan the room. Or maybe you're facing the audience and you look here, and before you travel, you look, and then you start to travel and walk. You know what I mean? You can play around with it. And if you want to play around with this stuff more, that's exactly what we do in MemberStrip, which is my subscription service on my website. I have a whole other video where we can put this stuff into practice. You can play around. There's dozens of videos. I have it linked, but I'm going to share so much here. So if you're like, I don't want to do a subscription, you don't have extra funds for burlesque education right now, don't worry. I'm going to tell you a lot of stuff right here on this channel. So I'll see you next week. Okay. Thank you so much for spending time with me. If you have any questions, let me know. I'm a real person and I really read the comments. Don't be shy. See you next time. Bye.